LSD is one of a group of drugs called hallucinogens. They are called by that name because they cause a person to have hallucinations. Hallucinations are like mirages. They're imaginary. They are the product of an imagination distorted by the drug. LSD is but one of many hallucinogenic drugs. One such drug is peyote, a substance obtained from a cactus plant found mainly in the arid regions of Mexico. A button-shaped growth on the cactus plant is the source of the drug. Peyote is bitter-tasting, so it is usually combined with coffee, tea, wine, or milk to make it palatable. Psilocybin is another hallucinogen. It is found in a Mexican mushroom plant. While not widely known or used, psilocybin is obtainable in liquid, powder, or crystalline form. Marijuana, long classified among the narcotics, is actually an hallucinogenic drug. Marijuana is usually smoked as cigarettes and is a very unpredictable psychedelic. Other substances which produce hallucinogenic effects are such unlikely substances as morning glory seeds, nutmeg, gasoline, and glue. LSD is more powerful than these, but there are other drugs more powerful than LSD. STP is 4 times as potent as LSD. One authority has estimated that LSD has already caused more genetic damage than the atomic bomb. LSD was first synthesized by Dr. Albert Hofmann, a Swiss chemist, in 1938. Seeking treatment for migraine headaches, Dr. Hofmann did not discover the hallucinogenic properties of LSD until 5 years later, when he accidentally ingested a small amount. The drug, in spite of a quarter of a century of study and experimentation, is still controversial, imprecise, and unpredictable. LSD is a colorless, tasteless, odorless liquid. It is usually taken by mouth after being poured over a sugar cube or on a cookie. A few, seeking a stronger and more immediate effect, have injected it directly into a vein. LSD does have medical uses, but these are still in the experimental stage. Even under the strictest medical supervision, the results are still unpredictable. With this information in hand, you might ask, why use LSD in the first place? They say it gives new insights and new intellectual powers. Wonderfully vivid spiritual and intellectual rewards are promised by some of LSD's proponents. Such claims appeal to many people, especially young people. But what are the scientific facts? There is no significant body of clinical data to justify the fantastic claims made concerning the so-called mind-expanding qualities of LSD. On the other hand, there are ample cases of unresolved psychoses, panic, sustained shock, disorientation, and suicide in the literature of LSD to sound a warning note. A study of 114 users of LSD uncovered some interesting characteristics of the typical LSD user. His average age is 23, although the range of users spans 15 to 43 years of age. 68% of the users are males, but the number of female users, 31.6%, is still substantial. LSD users are a cross-section of the population. About 88.4% are Anglo-Saxon. More than 72% of the users surveyed had taken LSD only 1 to 3 times. The LSD user had an almost uniformly bad experience with the drug. 13.1% suffered from overwhelming panic. Another 12.3% committed some violent act while under the influence of the drug. 8 6/10% experienced homicidal or suicidal urges as a result of taking the LSD. After ingesting LSD, more than 34% suffered from underlying overt mental disease. And 15.8% required an extended period of hospitalization. When studied scientifically, the LSD user is not a very pretty picture. People who are promoting the use of LSD say there is little danger in the use of hallucinogens. They say why it is no more harmful than aspirin or riding in an automobile. But what is the truth? Responsible investigators say the drug exerts a powerful, often damaging effect upon the human system. It seriously impairs behavior. Dr. James L. Goddard, Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, says taking LSD is a game of chemical Russian roulette that can have devastating consequences. Some say the effects of LSD are only temporary. But are they? Too often, what was supposed to be a mild trip becomes a permanent catatonia, or mental stupor. What is billed as a mind-expanding experience becomes, instead, a long-term despondency and mental emotional withdrawal. Doesn't LSD increase one's creativity? Hardly. Competent researchers have concluded that LSD does not enhance a person's creative ability. LSD and death are close friends. LSD itself may not cause death in the person who takes it. However, it has been known to cause many suicides and homicides. One user jumped to his death from a fourth-floor window after taking the drug. Another person jumped in front of an oncoming train without realizing the consequences of his act. Some are lulled into a sense of false security when they learn that LSD is not habit-forming or addicting. However, the unpredictable effects of the drug may keep recurring over a long period of time after an individual has stopped taking it. The pseudo-religious properties claimed by some for LSD have ensnared many misinformed individuals who do not realize the dangers of the drug. Such phrases as mind expansion and finding God have led many unsuspecting people into a psychological trap. Used indiscriminately, LSD is extremely dangerous. Even under the most rigid medical supervision, those given the drug often suffer severe adverse reactions. People who have underlying psychoses are especially prone to develop severe reactions such as panic reactions, suicidal attempts, acute psychoses, and others. Add to these the lack of a reliable drug source and a known dosage, an impure product produced under black market conditions, and a lack of selectivity among patients, and the drug becomes doubly dangerous. Then there's the risk of a repeat trip. When the original effects of LSD wear off, there is still the danger of a return of the hallucinogenic symptoms, weeks or even months later, even though no additional drug is taken. Other serious complications may result from the use of LSD. Mounting evidence suggests that LSD can cause convulsions, leukemia, and can result in deformity in babies of LSD-using parents. There is evidence that LSD causes a chromosome deformity that can result in birth defects. It is obvious that LSD may induce an acute psychosis in unstable, neurotic individuals. But there is good reason to conclude that even previously normal persons may have an acute psychotic reaction from LSD. LSD is extremely powerful. Less than 1/280,000th of an ounce can send a person on an 8 to 12-hour trip. This tiny drop can extend its explosive power over a long period of time. Its effects have been felt up to months after the original trip. When combined with other drugs, LSD is even more devastating in its effects. Marijuana and other hallucinogens can multiply the dangerous effects of LSD. When taken in combinations, they can be uncontrollable. In the light of the scientific evidence available, we should look carefully at the insistence of some that those who are willing to take the risk should be allowed to use LSD. This contention would be questionable even if the user affected no one but himself. But the LSD user is not an island. He is in society, and society suffers too often for comfort from his use of the drug. LSD is not a plaything. It is a dangerously destructive drug and should be handled only by medically competent researchers. In the hands of any other person, the drug is as devastating to human life as an explosive. There is a trap in every LSD trip. The only way to avoid the trap is to cancel the trip before it begins.